Hello and welcome to this week's energy forecast. And I generally refer to this group of people watching, my Reach Your Happy family, as I do feel this community of people that I work with, that I connect with, that show up for healings for themselves in a group, whatever it may be, is a form of family. And I don't know if it's the movies, I'm not sure what exactly implants in our minds as children that this is what family looks like. I know for me, I have felt disappointed or have had my expectations be completely off the mark in regards to my actual family, my blood family. So over the past 4 or 5 months or so, I have definitely been feeling this pull to be the fullest expression of myself. And what does that even mean? Well, when I think about being myself, the easiest way I can think about it, and I invite you to do the same, is instead of like, who do I want to be, or who do I see myself as, or what do people tell me I am, instead of that, it's like, what are the things that I do that I don't like about myself? Or what are the ways in which I pretend that I'm okay with something, or pretend to be something, someone that I'm not? And I think if we kind of reverse that, we look at it instead of like, who do I want to be? It's like, who am I sometimes, that I look back and I'm like, oh gosh, like why was I being like that? So this has been a internal shedding, if you will, for me. And what I have come to realize is that a large part of my identity, who makes Laura Laura, has been defined by what I have believed my family needs me to be for them. So as I've been peeling back the layers of that and freeing myself from that hold that I need to be this thing so that I'm loved, that I'm approved of, that I'm accepted by my family, I have started to realize all the different areas in my life where I am not being my complete self. Not that I feel like I am phony. What I do is I polish myself. I know that if I show up as my true self, there is an opening for criticism. And every one of us, as our ego forms, the last thing we want to do is be criticized. What you consider your shadow side, your dark side, your unacceptable, unapproved of side is, again, we call it the shadow, but it's actually just aspects of you that we have tucked away because we have been told in some form or another that we're unacceptable. And as I have been witnessing myself in sessions, one-on-one, in person, remote, and then different parts of my business like social media, like YouTube, I am the fullest, purest, most Laura me, Laura self, when I'm in session one-on-one with someone. I don't give a fuck how I come off. I know that person is here, has been drawn to me because energetically we are a match, and that this person has something for me and I have something for them. And it's funny, this platform, YouTube especially, has been an incredible teacher for me. At first, showing up on camera was the hardest thing. I didn't like how my mouth moved. I didn't like the way I sounded. I didn't like how I looked. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I look like. That's what I sound like. Oh, like it really, really hurt. Maybe it's not, I didn't necessarily get over it. I just recognize these again that's the egoic, oh, that's unacceptable. Look at how my mouth is crooked like that, and look at how I say those words, and I say but and so a lot, right? And it's like this criticism, and this platform has allowed me to soften my criticism of self. I am a human, and I accept that, and I love that I am human and that I have flaws, or rather aspects, right? It's not even a flaw. It's aspects of me that I've been told aren't all that attractive or aren't accepted in some form or another. So thank you, family, for showing up here. It's a platform for me to be myself, but I hope it's a platform for you to be yourself as well. And I share my story because we all have our very unique stories, and I do believe that, you know, those one-on-one sessions I have, why do I love it so much? Because I'm myself, and I am so concentrated on the human, on the soul that is before me. Nothing else matters to me in that moment. I am strictly concentrating on you, on all versions of you, your greatest self, your worst self, and everywhere in between. And so I am a big encourager of be yourself. If you hate the way your husband fucks you, change it, say it, talk to him about it. If you hate the way your boss speaks to you, bring it up, have a sit down. Love yourself enough to stand up for yourself. If you hate your mother-in-law's chicken pot pie and she makes it for your every birthday and you're like, I can't fucking stand this, I'm the encourager of saying, speak up for yourself. You deserve to get what you want, and the only way you're going to get what you want is if you are yourself. And I realize now that this platform has been a beautiful reflection, a beautiful mirror for me to see the ways in which I am not being myself. That I am allowing only the most polished version of me to show up. I went to a private Catholic school from kindergarten to my senior year of high school. All about the polished. Socks are just right, skirts just right, polos ironed. You know, the whole thing. Your hair has to be combed, you have to be groomed, you have to look appropriate. And though I think that experience, because it's allowed me to be a professional. It's allowed me to fit into the box of what is socially acceptable. And I'm not saying I'm gonna, go off in the deep end. I mean, that is a part of who I am. I like being prim and proper, but I also say fuck and shit and talk about sex, and I talk about alcohol and weed, and I discuss topics like psychedelics. I talk about everything under the sun unapologetically because that's who I am. I believe that judgment is really just our own fears of not being accepted, being an outcast in some form or another. So I thank all of you, both those who know me via YouTube, via social media, for allowing me to see myself, allowing me to see the ways in which I am not being my full self, showing me the ways that I try to be what others want me be, what I think others want me to be, all in an attempt to be accepted. But you know what I've learned I'm 32 now, in these 32 years of life, that even if my mother was still alive, and as much as I feel like I would want her approval and her acceptance, I'm really thankful that she isn't here and that I have the relationship with my father that I do, because I've really needed space as a once teen, now adult woman, to define for myself what I deem acceptable. I know that I'm a good person, and I also know I say fuck a lot. I also know I talk about stuff very transparently with my friends, with my one-on-one clients, but there's something about this platform where others are seeing me, and I don't know who that is. So there was an attempt to control how I'm perceived. And maybe that's a trauma response. Maybe that is, you know, whatever braid of a need for acceptance has come together for me to be acting or behaving in the way that I have. I really thank it, because you know, I took some time off of doing these videos, and I know when I need space from this, it's because there's something shifting. There's a death, rebirth, here I am again process unfolding. So yeah, this is the first time ever I've taken this time to not be upset with myself, not be apologetic, but instead, you know, this is for something. I'm realizing something that I can't fully realize just yet, but honestly, I just put all these pieces together about why I've had an aversion to social media. It's been like 2 weeks or so, because I've been going through this massive shedding where I am no longer, and that's a large statement, I am no longer doing your laundry, right? Like, no, I'm no longer acting out of assumption. I think she wants me to be this so I get acceptance. Done. I'm done. Because what I was saying about like the parent stuff and what have you, it's like it has life. It's so interesting. It seems as though we are seeking the approval of someone outside of ourselves, when really all we're seeking is the approval of this innermost self. We're trying to get into a good, harmonious relationship with our innermost self. But we edit ourselves, we alter in all these different ways to be deemed acceptable by our clients or our bosses or our partners. And when we kind of unleash ourselves from those expectations and turn inward and practice the simple but also challenging act of saying, like, what do I want? What do I want in this situation? What actually feels good? And that's what I'm choosing to do. I'm choosing to say the things that feel most true to me. I'm choosing to show up as myself, because that's who I am. And if I lose followers, if I lose clients, you know, I'm really okay with that, because I don't care to be anybody's cup of tea. I don't need to be everyone's cup of tea. I don't need to be anyone's cup of tea, because I'm mine. I like me. I like who I am. I like how I walk, talk, move. I love how I love. I love how compassionate I am. I love how I can be feisty and mean and aggressive. I love all the aspects of me. And what really showed me that was doing the things that aren't me. Listening to people talk about others. I hate that. It's such a fucking waste of breath. It's such a waste of time. I do not want to be around that. But I only could realize that when I was around that. And when I put up with that, and afterwards would be like, oh, I feel like slimy. I just like don't like that. I don't like talking about others behind their back. If I have a problem with them, I want to talk to you about it. That's how I roll. I love transparency. I feel like transparency allows this depth to relationships that it's like, if I'm willing to be 100% transparent, we get this incredibly rich relationship that we wouldn't have otherwise. And yeah, it can be really shitty. It can be really hard to be transparent, but it's not as hard as sitting in a conversation that I am not aligned with, that my innermost self is going, I don't want to go there. This isn't how I want to spend the precious moments of this existence. So I'm fucking done. I'm done doing that. And I hope my story is a reminder for you that you have the freedom to choose. But also knowing that there's nothing wrong with where you are. You could feel better and you don't, but that's okay. That's okay. Not feeling great, pretending, like my story, right? Like I pretended I played the role that I thought people wanted me to play, and I felt empty. I felt empty. And so then I decided to start making different choices, to take different routes, and without feeling empty, I wouldn't recognize this feeling of wholeness that I do now. So wherever you are in your journey, in your experience, yes, you could feel better. Yes, you could be speaking your truth and asking for what you want and showing up in a different way. And if you're not, that's okay, but you could. It's an option. You have an option. It's hard. There is pain that's involved, but you know, we pay a price one way or another, and I'm choosing to maybe distance myself from people because they don't like the honest, true me, and I'm okay with that, because when I go to bed at night, I'm still loving me. I'm proud of the choices and the conversations I've had. I'm proud of how I'm showing up and who I decided to be, which is my most honest, transparent self in every interaction. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying that I haven't had moments of like, oh shit, like I said I wasn't going to talk about people, and here I am listening to this person talk about people. Okay. No, it's like, all right, yeah, I still have room to grow. And I'm all right with that, because I know I'm taking steps towards my higher self. And what do you have to look forward to in being your truest self, which again probably comes from identifying who you like, the aspects of you that you don't like the ways you pretend or what have you. I feel this weight has been lifted. I feel free. I feel whole. I feel beautiful and sexy and strong. I'm not basing my worth on what I do, but rather just sitting in the knowing that I am worthy. Like, God damn, that is worth it. That is worth the tough conversations. That is worth the awkward moments, I won't even say the word lonely, but the alone time. Because I'm not lonely. Because I like who I am with when I am simply by myself. So thank you. Reach your happy family. I don't know if I can even call this an energy forecast. I don't know. I'll call it something. Laura's reflection, my innermost self talking to you. But thank you. I deeply appreciate you. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you for the input into my life. On that note, I bid you farewell, and I will be talking to you soon.